Hello world, you're on my iPhone at the moment. I'm off to Portugal. And guess what? You lot are coming with me. Yeah, so hello world. Here I am in Stansted Airport. I've got to stay in a hotel overnight because I'm flying out to Portugal in the morning. I've got family over there and a bit of a family thingamadig to do. But I'm taking with me, I've gone full frame folks. Full frame. So this is the Canon EOS 6D Mark II. It hasn't met with entirely enthusiastic reviews. I mean, it just, as far as they're concerned, it's just Canon doing more Canon and not putting 4K video on here, and the autofocus points are in the middle. However, for most people, going full frame means that you get to use pro full frame lenses, particularly if you're in the Canon world. And what you're watching now is full HD video at 60 frames per second, I hope. And I'm sure it'll be fine, and I'm sure it'll be lovely. The lens that is on here is the Sigma 24mm to 105, that's what it is, f4. So yeah, what I'm going to do is take this out to Portugal with me, staying in Oporto. So what I'm going to try and do is put this camera through its paces, try and make its life just a wee bit difficult. I'm not sure how many fast action shots I'll be able to get, but I'll do my best. Then I will plague Flickr and Facebook and YouTube with photographs for the foreseeable future, so hopefully you're looking forward to that. I'm a bit knackered now. This is the Hotel Radisson Blu at Stansted Airport. It's actually rather nice. I might actually turn this round, so if I see, I'm using the tilty flippy screen now. You see, a full frame camera with the tilty flippy screen, I think that is actually really very good. And it's also a touch screen, which is great, because the 750D, which I've also used before, which I'll be selling on eBay actually, but that's got a touchy flippy screen, and it's great. Okay, it's just a shame really that it wasn't full frame, because a lovely full frame camera with a touchy flippy screen at the price of the 750D would be just wonderful, but you ain't getting it. So what I will say from the outset is that this camera and lens is a particularly heavy combination. So I'm holding it with one hand here, and I'm not actually finding it very easy, but I've got the image stabilization on, which is okay, and I can see exactly where it's focusing, and it's focusing on my face, and it's having absolutely no trouble. And if I move over here, the focus point moves over there. If I move over there, if I put my hand up in front of the camera, okay, let's see what that does. Woo, hello folks, hello dears. Right, yep, that is making it move. Yep. Yay! See, it's gone over there. Okay, if you want more than 45 autofocus points that are bunched into the centre of the screen, by the way, just try shooting in live view, where you've got this lovely autofocus system that Canon seems to have a monopoly on at the moment, and only Canon seem to be doing it, whereby actually touching the screen causes it to focus extremely quickly and take the picture instantaneously. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to turn this around now and I'll show you this hotel room, because I think you deserve your money's worth. Woohoo, woohoo, here we go. Alright, that is a Sigma lens cap. That's a piece of paper that says "Feed my soul." Okay, I have never known anything as tidy as this. For those of you who follow my YouTube channel, you'll know that I spend a lot of time just living in clutter. This is wonderful for me. It's absolutely lovely. Ooh. Oh, anything removed from the menu bar. You're getting nothing from the menu bar there, because they just don't have it. So stay at the Hotel Radisson, because the rooms are lovely. This is a standard room, but don't eat in the restaurant. Find somewhere else to eat, because I've just eaten in the restaurant, and to be fair, let's turn this round again. Woohoo. To be fair, to be frank, and to be brutal, I'm vegetarian, and the vegetarian option was described as onion soup to start with, followed by a casserole. The onion soup was onion soup, it's fine, lovely, with 3 tiny strips of pita bread to go with it. And then the casserole was basically just more soup, essentially. So I had soup and soup. So I just feel a little bit shortchanged by that, but the room itself, wonderful. Right, so here we are in Lightroom. This thing that I'm hovering over now is the video that I've just made and that you've just seen. Just don't try and edit video in Lightroom. It doesn't even play back smoothly. That was at 60 frames per second full HD, which is the max that the 6D Mark II can do. And Lightroom just doesn't do it, so just try QuickTime or iMovie if you want to edit it, and you'll find it'll just play it back perfectly. There's no issue whatsoever. But Lightroom, it just isn't a video editor. Just don't even go there, bitch. This is just a very boring shot of my hotel room. But let's go into one-to-one here. Okay, I have recovered some shadows. This is what they're all moaning about. The dynamic range. Yeah, if I go into that particular zoom, which is 11 times its normal size in the shadows, I'm looking at the curtains now. The curtains are a good deal smoother than that. They don't have all that moire in them, but that's 11 times their size. 1600 ISO. You wouldn't know that that had been taken at such a relatively high ISO. Don't forget that 1600 ISO in film days would have produced grain the size of boulders on your pictures. So I think that's a very worthy performance. Similarly, 1600 ISO. If I scroll along here, look at that. What's the, go into the develop mode here. It's doing this again. Get out of there. Here we go. ISO 6400. Bit noisy, but that's had no editing at all done to it. But let's just see what happens when we do edit it. You're talking about, you know, even just a couple of years ago, ISO 6400 being silly money. You know, you just would not have pushed your camera that far. And that is a relatively smooth result. Fair enough, I'm only looking at this as maybe 2/3 of my 13.3 inch laptop screen. But even so, I think that's just a very worthy result. Let's just do a little bit of white balancing. Okay, something that perhaps should have been white. We'll just, there we go, that's cooled it down just a little bit. The exposure was slightly underexposed, so I'm gonna just bring that up by a stop. Bring up my contrast just because I like to. Highlights. Now let's just see, let's have a look at the lights. In fact, let's go back to one-to-one and have a look and see what happens to our highlights when I drag that slider down. That's where it was. Okay, where should we look? We'll look at, that's around here where my handy's little wiggling around. See what happens. Highlights, down. Look again. Look at all that detail that is suddenly coming back into the picture. I always reduce my highlights to 0, by the way. just gives you no chance of burning them out. This light here is much more controlled. As it wouldn't normally be flaring out the way that the sensors recorded it. Okay, let's just have a look at some of the shadows. So let's see what was originally down here. Okay, just behind this TV screen that's showing a football match. Okay. That's 0-ish. Is that? Oh, it's -1, but never mind. Okay. Bring them up, and suddenly that brickwork's visible. We've got a bit more noise in there, people. What a surprise. Because you would have. Okay. Are we still on 1:1? Yep, we're still on 1:1. Okay, so that's full size. Okay, I'm just going to quickly sort out my whites in this picture, bring those down, and start sorting out my blacks. Fine. Funnily enough, the reason why Adobe Lightroom is the industry standard is not because it has a fantastic library system, because it has a very confusing library system, in my honest opinion, but because its develop module has probably the easiest and the best noise reduction system that I've ever worked with in any kind of software. If you're going to reduce noise, you need to do a little bit of sharpening, otherwise the picture will end up just a little bit soft. Okay, so I put in 70 for sharpening, 40 for noise reduction. Perfect. Perfect. This wall along here was noisy. Watch it again. Perfect. We're on ISO 6400. As I say, that is silly money in terms of ISOs. And look what Lightroom can do to bring back those images. Back to normal size. Well, fit. It's not normal size, it's just fitting it to screen. Superb. Superb. Not necessarily a superb photo. I've taken better, but that's made a very lovely image. I'm pleased with that. I'm really pleased with that. Just have a look at what I took on ISO 12,800. This one's already been treated by me. Oh, no, not that one. Where's it gone? Gosh, someone could find me. Stalk me down. That's 12,800. Yep, I've done the same editing recipe with it, but it's 12,800. 1:1. Yeah, it's pretty noisy. But you try using ISO 12,800 on your APS-C camera, and suddenly you realise why you want full frame. Okay, if I just do a compare contrast, slightly less noisy. I changed the white balance slightly with this one because I preferred it a little bit warmer, but slightly less noisy because I've reduced the noise. But I think that's great. Okay, while we're talking about just Lightroom just for a second, something that just irritates me slightly. I've not long had this 24mm to 105mm lens. This is the first time I've actually looked at A, the 6D Mark II, and B, the 24 to 105mm lens. Normally, when you enable the lens profile corrections, Sigma will show up, but you've actually got to go into it here and choose it, because I've got a couple of other Sigma lenses and the camera knows what it's doing with it. But with this Sigma Art lens, for some reason or other, 6D Mark II possibly doesn't recognize it, and Lightroom therefore also doesn't recognize it, unless there's an update. I know there's an update that's due that I need to apply to this version of Lightroom, so perhaps that will correct it. I don't know, we'll see. I'm in a hotel room. I need to get to sleep, folks. I've got a flight to catch in the morning. Okay, I will see you then. Bye.